What you will or will not do will change dependent on external deadlines. This is an interesting concept. I'm going through it right now. What's my external deadline? Well, I'm part of that crew, and I believe there's about 880,000 of us that are coming off fixed interest rates in October. I'm part of that. My family is part of that. We had about, probably $750,000 in fixed loans at 1.89. How much would you give right now for a 1.89? If you're not aware of what 1.89 represents, then clearly you don't have a mortgage, and you're probably hanging in there on a nice rent. It's not moving. This is awesome. This is good for you. But if you happen to have a mortgage, then you'll be well aware that we are significantly above 1.89 now. I believe the current rate's 6.2. That's a lot of money on a $750,000. In fact, I know exactly how much it is because I did the numbers. I'm like, whoa, oh my goodness. We are about to face, as a family, a $2,500 a month increase. $2,500 a month. Now that's coming in October. Can I extend the fixed loan? No. Can I do anything other than wait for that loan? I could. But the bank will provide me with a fixed loan at whatever that rate is, and it might be 5.5. It might be less than the variable. It might be more than the variable, depending on what they think is going to happen. But there is an external deadline in October that is playing out in my life. And I've got a couple of options here. One is to ignore and pretend and just show up in October and be surprised by the rapid and significant increase in my mortgage payments. Now, I'm not sure how much that is to you. $2,500. That might be an enormous amount. That might be nothing. It's a significant amount for me. It's not nothing. It's not enormous. It's kind of like a Goldilocks amount, if there was such a thing. It's like, whew, okay, it's a lot, but it's not ridiculous. It's not like $25,000 a month. So the question comes, what am I going to do? I do have that option of ignoring it. But that will come with consequences. If I ignore it, knowing that in October the interest rate's going to go up and I do nothing, then I am in trouble. I'll have to deal with it then. We are in late June right now, coming up into the end of the financial year. That also is a deadline. If things are done before the 30th of June, then there's an effect. If they're done after the 30th of June, beginning 1st of July, there's an effect. But all of these external deadlines are driving choices that would not be there without them. Most of you will have been through the exam experience. This was an external deadline. I was so terrified of this that my traditional solution to exams had to be overcome. I'll call it an overcoming. Traditionally, I had just shown up and crammed for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. Going hardcore. Nothing, and then cram. Now, not nothing. Things were going into my subconscious to be worked on. But as that exam experience came, it was just like cram, 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 sit the exam, pass the exam, often extremely well, and then the exam was over. But general practice presents a significant challenge to any of us. And that is, it's so damn big. The amount of content that we're expected to be across. Now, the depth is not that great, but the breadth is enormous. You got to be across all of the specialties in medicine, all of the surgical specialties, psychiatry, and then general practice itself, the basics of chronic conditions, of peds through to geriatrics. I mean, the demands on us are fairly extreme, and it freaked me out so much. I was like, the cramming thing is not going to work. Now, I did hear of one case, and this may, if there was one case, there's probably more. The guy's like, I just crammed for 3 weeks and I passed. And I'm like, good for you. Good for you. But I got so scared that I was like, you know what? I'm 12 months out. And I did about 2 months solid study, and then I went back to my old patterns. Did about 6 to 8 weeks of procrastinating, doing nothing. And then I got called on it. I went to an event, and they're like, who's not in integrity with their agreements? And I put my hand up and I'm like, yeah, my agreement was that I would study for this exam that's still 8 months away. And even as I say that, like, part of me is shocked that I would even be able to consider studying 8 months before. But they were like, all right, what was the agreement? Well, the agreement was that I would study from 12 months. Are you keeping that agreement? No, I wasn't studying. And they brought through an interesting idea that there was perhaps two parts to me. There was a part of me that was like, hey, Tom, you need to study. And then there was a shadow part of me that was like, nah, it'll be fine. It's good. You always passed before. And for that gentleman that crammed 3 weeks, and for myself, if I had chosen a 3 weeks cram, guess what? I probably would have passed. Like, just the sheer terror, adrenaline, the cramming, the intensity of the experience probably would have passed, but I might have missed something. In fact, I would have definitely missed something, which is the experience of going through the content of general practice and reviewing this vast area of medicine. Because even if you passed the exam, even if I got through on the cramming, guess what? Still got to see the patients. Still going to find out pretty quickly, within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, that the exam was not the real test, but rather the ability to be a doctor and consult and sort out people's problems. That was the test. And so while the deadline was extremely useful, the test came afterwards for general practice. And you might dismiss it and say, well, why do we even have exams? Well, notice what happened for me. The exams, the deadline, drove behaviors that would not have happened for me. Perhaps for you, they would have happened. Perhaps you could have managed this and covered all the material. But the number of people that do this is relatively rare. It seems like humans will normally head towards a experience of comfort. And once we're in comfort, it's comfortable. I'm chilling. I'm happy. We see this. We see this in our patients. Those that do things and those that do not is often driven by how comfortable the patient is. If they are suffering, if they have pain, if they have problems walking, if they have significant disability, then they are far more open to the conversation of transformation and changing their lives, doing what's required to make their life a whole lot better. But once they get to that place, and I am 100% guilty of this, that once I get to out of the pain and into a better place, Guess what I stopped doing? Guess what our patients stopped doing? And presumably, unless you're very much an outlier, guess what you stopped doing? You stopped doing the things that got you out of pain. My wife said to me, Tom, why do you keep going live? And yes, there is a external component. My coach was like, go live every day. Go live every day. Go live every day. Expose your life. There is no hiding in this modern world if you want to lead. If you don't want to lead, then fine, just let it be. Who cares? But have you had a look at the leaders right now? Mr. Albanese is doing a pretty good job in an overwhelming circumstance. He's actually done sincerely better than I was expecting. I thought he got handed a poison chalice. It's like, dude, this is not an election you want to win. But he won it, and he's done pretty well. But is he someone that I want my children to aspire to be? No. Not really. I mean, okay. He's kind of bland in a way. Nondescript. It's like, dude, really? That's where we're going? Let alone if we look over to the States. Whew. The guy's got his finger on the nukes. Whew. Damn. Luckily, he probably can't work out where the button is. But, you know, you might wonder about that comment. That's a bit harsh. Yeah, perhaps. But I have also experienced dementia. Not me personally, but directly in my father. Very, very talented obstetrician gynecologist. Probably over 10,000 babies brought into the world. Standing at the gate of life. Bringing in these babies. He was very happy never to have lost a mother. Never lost a mother. As far as I'm aware. Lost some babies, yes. Yes, that happened. Stillborns and that sort of stuff, but never lost a mother. It's a very, very good thing. So I've been doing this medical thing a while. It's been interesting. I grew up into it. My father was a doctor. There's a painting that I did at 4 years old of what my father does, and there's a baby being delivered in 2 dimensions and triangle figures. So this healing game. And it's interesting because he was an atheist. He was like, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything. This is just a random experience in a random universe, and this whole life thing is a total chance. Means nothing. And it's funny. I remember him coming to me. I'd been meditating a lot. And his criticism, it was very interesting to hear it from him. It's like, Tom, don't think there's much going on up there. And I was like, yeah, Dad, that's the point. That's the fucking point of meditation, to calm the mind. Calm the mind, settle the mind, reduce the thoughts. But why? So that God can talk to me. So I can hear my heart. And these may be very alien concepts, but I get that those of you struggling to pass the exams, you've got one challenge. But once you get past that, the game really opens up to a significantly different challenge. And all the medical education and study in the world isn't going to help you deal with what you are going to face. If you have already passed your exams, you are facing this. And that is that there is a crisis out there. I was talking to a gentleman today. He ran the new car sales part of Toyota. And he described that they would ship cars without the second key. Get the cars to the people. Only come with one key. It's like, yeah, well, at least you're doing better than Ford, who appeared to be shipping cars without chips. It's like, no, Toyota's not going to do that. but I recognize the consequences. He's now got a significantly higher level of responsibility to make sure that all of those keys show up eventually. That there's a higher level of project management because of the difficulties that we are facing. It's like people are suffering. People are losing their shit out there. And guess who they are coming to? They're coming to us as doctors. But if we don't have answers, that's a problem. You see, it's one thing to pass exams. It's one thing to deal with an interest rate deadline. But it's another thing entirely to deal with the relentless and constant stress that comes from sitting in medicine. And whether you're a GP or a psychiatrist or a surgeon or a physician or a pathologist or a radiologist, these pressures are coming through on us. The weight is real. It's heavy. How are you dealing with it? What structure do you have in place to ensure that the burden does not crack you, crush you? Because it can. What are your colleagues hiding? What aren't they saying? I want to open your mind up to a possibility that there are daily habits, elite daily habits that make a difference to your ability to consult as a doctor. Beyond what you know, while that is critical and important, but beyond that. And that is, who are you showing up as a doctor, as a role model, as a leader for your patients and for other doctors and your nurses and your reception team and your practice staff? If you don't have anything, then when people come asking for bread and you give them stone, this is a problem. The world's got a whole lot more crazy really fast. I don't see it changing. If anything, from looking back, it's going to get harder, more difficult, more fast-paced. You've got to be able to dance and twist and move and shift. Perhaps there's more to the healing arts than just memorizing textbooks. Things that they did not examine, but are critical to the results that you get for your patients. And when you get results for your patients in their health, but also their relationships and their money game and their spirituality, their relationship with life itself, that benefits you. And you thrive. And your family grows and benefits. But if you choose not to look, not to learn, when there are ways, then the consequences of that choice will be upon you, irrespective of any deadline externally placed. How you live your life makes a difference. If you want to know how to do this, then head to GraduateMedicine.com. Click on the banner for clinical certainty. Clinical certainty. That which goes beyond medical knowledge, beyond exams, beyond what you train for, but works directly on who you are as a healer. Your choices make a difference for your patients, for your family, and most of all for you. Head over to GraduateMedicine.com, clinical certainty. Thanks for tuning in today. Look forward to seeing you in another live session very soon. Have a great day. Look after yourself and make a difference in who you are being as a doctor today and every day. See you next time.